The snow fell softly outside Miller's Cafe that December afternoon, dusting the window sills with white powder. Robert Harrison sat alone at his usual corner table, his hands wrapped around a cooling cup of coffee. At 58, he'd grown accustomed to the silence. 3 years had passed since Margaret died, and the big house in Brookfield felt emptier with each season. He came to this cafe most Saturdays now. Not for the coffee, really, but for the gentle hum of other people's lives continuing around him. The young couples sharing pastries, the college students hunched over laptops. Life moving forward, even when his own felt stuck in amber. "Excuse me, sir?" The small voice made him look up. A little girl stood beside his table, maybe 6 or 7 years old. She wore a pink knitted hat with a little pom-pom on top and held a worn teddy bear against her chest. Her face was pale, almost translucent, with dark circles under her eyes that no child should have. "Can I sit here?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "All the other tables are full." Robert glanced around. The cafe was busy, yes, but there were other seats available. Something in her eyes told him she needed more than just a chair. "Of course," he said, gesturing to the seat across from him. "Please." She climbed into the booth carefully, settling her teddy bear beside her. Robert noticed how thin her arms were, how deliberately she moved as if saving energy. "I'm Emma," she said, arranging her bear so it could see out the window. "This is Mr. Buttons." "Hello, Emma." "Hello, Mr. Buttons. I'm Robert." They sat quietly for a moment, watching the snow together. Robert wanted to ask where her parents were, but something held him back. The child seemed peaceful, and he didn't want to break whatever spell had brought her to his table. "Do you come here a lot?" Emma asked. "Most Saturdays," Robert admitted. "It's nice to watch the snow." "What about you?" "The hospital is just down the street," she said matter-of-factly. "Mom brings me here sometimes when I'm feeling okay. Today she's talking to the doctors about stuff. Boring stuff." Robert's chest tightened. The hospital, of course. That explained the pallor, the careful movements, the shadows under her eyes. He'd seen that look before, in Margaret's final months. "I like your scarf," Emma said, changing the subject with the easy grace children have. "It's very blue." "My wife made it," Robert said, touching the navy wool. "She was good at things like that. Making things beautiful, was?" Emma tilted her head, understanding more than most children would. "She died a few years ago," Robert said gently. "I miss her every day." Emma nodded, absorbing this. "My dad died, too, when I was 4. I don't remember him much, but Mom says he would have liked Mr. Buttons." And there it was, Robert thought. Two souls recognizing loss in each other, meeting in a warm cafe while snow fell outside. "Would you like some hot chocolate?" he asked. "The kind with extra whipped cream?" Emma's face lit up. "Really? Mom says I shouldn't bother strangers." "You're not bothering me at all," Robert said, and realized with surprise that he meant it. "You're keeping me company." "That's different." He ordered 2 hot chocolates from the counter, making sure the girl added extra whipped cream to Emma's cup and a dusting of cinnamon. When he returned, Emma was telling Mr. Buttons about the snow, her small voice creating a story about winter fairies. Over the next hour, they talked about small things. Emma told him about her favorite books, about how she wanted to be a veterinarian when she grew up so she could help animals feel better. Robert told her about Margaret, about the garden she'd loved, about how he still couldn't bring himself to change anything in the house they'd shared. "You should keep one thing the same," Emma said wisely, "but maybe change one thing too." "That's what my mom did. She kept Dad's favorite chair, but she painted the kitchen yellow because it made her happy. She said Dad would want her to be happy." Robert sat back, struck by the simple profoundness of it. Out of the mouths of babes, as his own mother used to say. A woman appeared at their table then, breathless and worried. She was young, maybe 35, wearing nurse's scrubs under her winter coat. Her eyes found Emma first, relief flooding her face, then moved to Robert with concern. "Emma, sweetie, you can't just wander off like that. I was so worried." "I'm sorry, Mom. You said you'd be a long time, and I felt okay, so I came here. Mr. Robert shared his table with me, and we had hot chocolate." The woman looked at Robert more carefully, taking in his expensive coat, his kind eyes, the way Emma sat comfortably across from him. She seemed torn between gratitude and maternal protectiveness. "I apologize if she bothered you," she said. "Not at all." Robert stood, extending his hand. "Robert Harrison, your daughter is delightful company. Please, won't you sit down? You look exhausted." Sarah Chen, as she introduced herself, did look exhausted. The kind of bone-deep tiredness that comes from months of worry and sleepless nights. She worked as a pediatric nurse, which Robert found both touching and heartbreaking. She spent her days caring for other people's children while her own was sick. "The doctors want to try a new treatment," Sarah said, after Robert insisted on ordering her coffee. Emma had gone to look at the pastries in the display case. "It's expensive, even with insurance. But there's a chance. A good chance." Her voice trailed off, and Robert saw her fighting tears. He recognized that look, too. The desperate hope mixed with the fear of believing in it too much. They talked while Emma examined each pastry as if it were a work of art. Sarah told him about the leukemia diagnosis 8 months ago, about leaving her job to care for Emma full-time, about the bills piling up despite the fundraisers their church had organized. Something shifted in Robert's chest. For 3 years, he'd been going through the motions, running his investment company, making money that piled up with nowhere meaningful to go. Margaret had always been the one who knew what to do with their wealth, who'd volunteered and organized charity events and made their money matter. What if... Robert hesitated, then pushed forward. What if the money wasn't a problem? What if you could focus entirely on Emma on this treatment without worrying about bills? Sarah looked at him, confused. "I don't understand." "I run an investment firm," Robert explained. I've been looking for something that matters, someone to help. Would you let me cover Emma's treatment? The full cost, whatever it takes?" Sarah's eyes widened. We couldn't possibly." "We don't even know you." "You do know me," Robert said quietly. "I'm someone who lost his person and forgot how to live after that. Until today, when a brave little girl asked if she could sit at my table. Please, let me do this." Emma returned then, holding a cookie with a snowflake design. "Mom, can I get this one? It matches the snow outside." Sarah looked at her daughter, at Robert, at the snow falling peacefully beyond the window. Robert could see the pride fighting with desperation, the fierce independence of a single mother colliding with a child's need. "Okay," she whispered finally. "Okay, but someday, somehow, I'll pay you back." "You already have," Robert said, watching Emma show Mr. Buttons her cookie. "You already have." Over the following months, Robert became part of their lives. He attended Emma's treatment appointments, celebrated the small victories, and weathered the setbacks. He helped Sarah return to work part-time when Emma's health stabilized. He discovered that his big house in Brookfield didn't feel quite so empty when Emma came to visit, when her laughter echoed through rooms that had been silent too long. He changed Margaret's garden, adding Emma's favorite flowers alongside his late wife's roses. One thing the same, one thing different. It felt right. Emma's treatment worked. By spring, the doctors were cautiously optimistic. By summer, they used the word remission. By fall, Emma was back in school, still thin but glowing with returning health, already volunteering at the local animal shelter because she couldn't wait to become a veterinarian. That December, exactly 1 year after their first meeting, the three of them sat at the same corner table at Miller's Cafe. Snow fell outside again. Soft and peaceful. "Make a wish," Emma said, blowing out the candle on a cupcake Sarah had brought. It was a celebration of sorts. 1 year of friendship, 1 year of fighting together, 1 year of discovering that families can be built on kindness and circumstance as much as blood. Robert didn't need to wish. Everything he'd needed he'd found. Purpose, connection, a reason to look forward rather than back. Margaret would have liked them both, he thought. She would have approved. "What did you wish for?" Sarah asked Emma. "Can't tell," Emma said sagely, "or it won't come true." But she looked at Robert and he smiled back, and they all knew the wish had already come true. Sometimes healing happens in unexpected ways. Sometimes a stranger is just a friend you haven't met yet, and sometimes all it takes is a small voice asking, "Can I sit here?" The snow continued to fall, soft and steady, covering the world in quiet white. Inside the warm cafe, 3 people who'd been lost had found something like home. And that, Robert thought, was the truest kind of miracle there was.